I'm thinking maybe Dr. Tim had dropped off because his numbers disappeared. So he usually goes back and. Oh, okay, awesome.
I'm usually I have an appointment I have to run to, but that person's a few minutes late. So I was just going to say that this question that you asked, Jill, comes up quite a bit in our groups too, because people will say, you know what, when I do these worksheets on my own, I don't get anywhere near as much benefit as if I do them in the group. And so one of the things, that happens is what Michael Ryce is talking about here is the idea of the shared energy and the amplification. And the other thing is the concept of willingness. And one of the things that's going to diminish my willingness is my fear. So you were talking about, this thing is very well defended or guarded, and it's only because I have these fears. So you can start working on your willingness by reminding yourself that every fear you hold about these mental, emotional issues is false. And with practice, get that willingness, your faculty of will to pull the worksheets out and do them anyway. And eventually that willingness gets demonstrated to that fearful part of your mind, because you're not just talking about doing worksheets, you're acting mind that you truly believe it's okay for you to see what you've been walling off from yourself, hiding from yourself in that vault 30 stories down.
And there's a worksheet for strengthening will. Jump on the website, the Mind Goal Management Sheet, the workshop, Getting the Stress You Need, explains that, and that starts to strengthen that faculty of will. And, you might remember the first Y workshop you were at, and I think I probably talked about the whole idea of factors. Nobody knows what the factor is that's going to move you that 0.5% in vitality that allows all hell to break loose and be a blessing. And, there's so many things, and that's why the standard answer so often is all of the above. Because that one little thing that seems like, that's nothing, but that might be enough to raise your vitality, that 0.5 point to take you into where you can open and process whatever that is. So that's why there's such a wide variety of tools. And each one is another factor, another little niche that, I get 0.2% vitality by doing this. I get 0.5% vitality by doing this. Here's a 4-point bump. Boom, everything breathes, moves. I open my breath and rock through it. And community is such an important key.
It is. So many thoughts right now, but one is, I picked up the phone and I hit the button, even though I didn't know what I was going to say or what would come out of my mouth, because it's an action. There's something magical that happens whenever I do that, and I don't even know what it is, and I don't have to, but I wanted the magic of it, which overcame my worry about sounding foolish or confused or whatever. And also this conversation is so reassuring because it is overwhelming and it is fearful. There is the fear there. And that overwhelm shuts me down. That's that response to, what I, in my mind, think is a big deal and feels traumatic maybe even. So then I just go into this collapse mode of like, I can't do it. And, talking about this, and I like what Dr. Tim said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it is a simple process. That's so reassuring, like, I can do this.
Yeah, and this is a safe space to be confused or feel foolish. Safe enough to let that come up and clarity come and move through it. It's like, cool. Here we are, being human or non-human, and reaching for our humanness.
True. If I'm going to be confused, this is a good place to do it.
For sure. Well, we haven't played team tag in a while, Dr. Tim. It feels good.
Yeah. I feel privileged and honored that you're all on the call. Like, this is great. It's like a little reunion.
Yay for reunions. What are the other thoughts for you, young lady, or Dr. Tim?
Well, for me, I was just noticing a couple things. One, I feel much lighter. I felt, I don't know, despairing when I called. And now my tears are just sort of relief. So that's one nice thing to report. And the other is I feel a lot of energy kind of buzzing through me, which is also interesting. And I kind of feel like I want to use that in some way to, you know, maybe just recognizing it and understanding, like, you know, this is an up level, and maybe using that to do a few worksheets now. So I've got some worksheets I can do.
Yay. One other small piece there, if you go back and you listen, one of the things that you languaged was how when blah, blah, blah happens, it shuts me down. Mm-hmm. And if you remember our definition of denial, is when I think or speak as though something outside of me, it, is the cause of what I'm doing inside, then that's another part of my mind that I have to dissociate from in order to, you know, believe what I believe. And when I can shift into more of a responsibility communication mode, I realize when this thing happens, I shut down. Now I'm back in control of the part of me that holds that automatic decision system shut down, and then I can change it. Otherwise, it's something outside of me, and my mind has to generate perceptual constructs that will prove it's outside of me when it really isn't. So just to keep moving toward more and more responsibility language instead of that projection.
Yeah. Well, thank you for noticing that and pointing it out. I feel like that's part of the trick that I use to keep it all in that vault. You know, like, I can't deal with this. It's too big, blah, 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 all that stuff. So, okay, thanks. That was helpful.
So if you're carrying it, you're big enough to handle it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be carrying it. And life just gets so much easier and so much more fun when you choose not to carry it.
Well, I like that flip. That's great. That just changed a whole lot of thoughts.
It's a good thing. How's your son doing?
He is overall good. He's working on a lot of different traumatic stuff. He just had an appointment this morning with his therapist, and this is one of my distresses, but I also think that what I notice is when he goes through some things, that reminds me of whatever. Gosh, I think I'll just cry for the whole time we talk.
Go for
whatever
it.
I might have been
breathe.
going through.
You know, if you can breathe and cry, go for it. If you can only do one, I'd suggest breathing instead of crying. And I'll breathe with you. So it sounds like maybe he's opened up an old power person dynamic for you. What's going on for him?
I don't know. So he is working on some issues with, like, at nighttime, settling down to go to sleep, and when it gets real quiet, and he's anxious and avoidant of settling. And
how many years has he been circling the sun now?
He will be 12 in November, so
wow.
11. Yeah.
Will he let you breathe him?
We do connected breathing together. Yeah.
So that might become a good nighttime ritual for him, something that maybe you go in and support him with it for, a time period until he starts to pick that up on his own. And if he's in anxiety, whatever that anxiety is about, if he gets into the habit of just doing that, some still point breathing, then the anxiety will tend to melt off. And, eventually he'll uncover what's at the root of it and change it. And that'll be the end of his anxiety.
Yeah, well, I think that's, I like that. And I think, well, let me tell you the rest of it, and then you tell me who actually needs the breathing.
All of the above?
I suspect.
Including us?
Me. So, two things. First is, well, not necessarily in order, but when I was about his age and younger, 6th grade, and younger than that, I also had great difficulty at night settling and dealing with the quiet in the house, settling down. Right. And obviously it was painful. So here he is at 6th grade, and the thing that changed it for me, it didn't cure it, but it was a temporary fix as I went on a trip with my 6th grade class. And I remember my mom talked to the teacher about the fact that I had trouble sleeping. I was really worried about it. But I slept fine. I went away from home and I slept fine. And it was such a relief, and I thought I was cured until it came back in later years. But so here he is at 6th grade during this time when I had like the first, whatever you want to call it. But the other factor is that after he was born, I know I've talked about this before, his dad passed away. His dad died while he was sleeping. I woke up and found that he had passed. And for many months after that, I could not turn off lights. I didn't want to be alone. I did not like quiet, especially at night. And I had this newborn baby who soaked in all of that. So there was a lot at work.
That's a lot to deal with.
And so my son at night, he has lots of night lights. He has these kind of calming stories that he plays because he doesn't like being in the dark. He doesn't like the quiet. It's almost exactly of how I felt for 6 months to a year after his dad died. And I just panicking all the time, especially when it would get quiet or dark. So I recognize that this is a really great healing opportunity. Say that? Say that again?
Powerful. And very likely from what you're saying, he being a newborn, that going on in you energetically would naturally resonate the same in him.
Absolutely.
And so the visual I hold is seeing you both breathing together and perhaps, getting into that as a routine in the evening, and then getting to the point perhaps where you can, while breathing him in the evening, you can share with him that time in your life and what happened, and let him know that that's just an energetic pattern that he's taken on, and that you had at that age. And so, who knows how many generations it's been going on, and it's time for us to let it go, and that being alone with our thoughts, being alone in the dark is safe, and it's healing and a wonderful place to be. And as you give him a space to process out whatever those thought patterns, energetic patterns were, which are probably totally unconscious for him, and acknowledge the safety of him being inside his own mind with his own thoughts and dealing with what's there, and then he's always got you as support for dealing with it. And of course, what you're teaching him is going to be what you need to learn. And as you really listen energetically and auditorily to him, and share comes up, then you'll get to learn it. And it'll shift and change for both of you.
I've been a little concerned that I'm not able to support him, because it definitely, when he struggles, it resonates all sorts of things for me, and I don't feel capable. I don't feel supportive because I'm in a state. But it is, I guess, healing together, right? I don't have to be healed and whole. I can be in the wound too.
Exactly. And all you have to do is have the tools and the willingness to use them. Having the tools and the willingness to use them doesn't mean you're finished the work yet. And being the support space for him, you're perfectly suited. Being his mom.
Mm-hmm.
At 12, it might be a good time to step into and take him through an organized study plan for acquiring these tools. And, where you both set up a structure where you spend time working with the tools on a regular basis in this process. And it's a self-study video program, and it might be something to take him through as his mom, and, one night a week, 2 nights a week, or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, make it a thing that you do together with him to enhance his ability to heal his life as you enhance your ability to heal your life. And you can set up your own, time frame, and so that might be a thing to look at doing with him. He's been on the edge of the tools for a long time, and now a systematic, organized stepping into them. It might be time for him to have that. And wow, at 12, what a foundation to give him for the future. And I don't know what his educational process is, but it might even be something that the school or a college even, at his age, at 12, be something that he might even be able to, as you do that with him, get credit for. Setting up a study program and get credit for it as well. Some advanced college credit at 12. There are lots of kids doing that sort of thing. And it's,
he would like that. He wants to be grown, so that would probably appeal greatly.
Well, what was the university you went to, Jeannie?
Ashford. I went to Ashford
University has Why Is This Happening to Me Again 101 in their catalog. They have Healing Through Relationships in their catalog. They have Codependence to Independence in their catalog. They have Communication. Did you hear what I think I said? They have Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing all in their catalog for college credits. So, And what a study, what a foundation to give him at 12 and have him just naturally grow, moving into and through puberty, growing into that level of knowledge and awareness. Just
yeah, it would be a tremendous gift, no doubt about it. And yeah, he has been on the periphery. I mean, he's been watching me do this for a while, and so yeah, I'll
might
talk
drop
to him
Jeannie
about it and see if he's into it.
Yeah, you might drop Jeannie a note. She's got, she wrote all of the courses up, full description, and their official courses in their catalog when she went to school. And actually, because she had done that, she was able to move like through, I don't even remember exactly, a full year, if I remember correctly, Jeannie, or something that
about half a year.
Her college. Yeah, half a year of her college work for getting her BA. She
Jeannie.
Just stepped through by having done that work and turned it in. So I'm sure she'd be happy to share that writing with you, and maybe Ashford would be the school for him to do it. I don't know.
Cool. That's awesome.
That sounded like a relief breath.
I was just going to say, wow, I did not know all this was going to come out. It's been on my mind for a while. I'm aware of it's a lot of generational patterns going on here. That sleeping thing is one, and the passing of a father is one. My father's father died when my dad was 12, and here is Russell with a father who passed, and now he's turning 12. And my grandmother's, on my mom's side, her mother died when she was, I think, 14. So there's some generational things happening here, and it seems like it's all the perfect storm right now.
What a perfect way to introduce him to adulthood and taking responsibility and doing his work and being a good ancestor. One of my favorite quotes from what's his name?
Jonas Salk.
Salk. Yeah, Salk, who invented the Salk vaccine. He says the most important thing is to be a good ancestor. And to bring him up into manhood as a conscious, good ancestor doing ancestral work. The Native Americans have a phrase, it's Mitakuyasin, which, they had the awareness that when they did healing work, it was for all of their relations. And so that was their mantra going into a sweat lodge or what have you, was Mitakuyasin, which was, it's like, I'm offering this energetic work that I'm about to do up for the healing of all my relations, past, present, and future. So what a gift to give a young man at 12.
Well, this is cool. I'm thinking about too another thing that's just really that has been just started bugging me just today is school stuff, and you said taking responsibility, and I think that that's what we're talking about too, is learning that 180-degree turn towards looking at myself or teaching him how to do that versus the exterior focus. I think that's probably the lesson here. I mean, isn't it the ultimate lesson? But hopefully he can have less to unlearn at 12
well, the sooner
versus
he
me
starts,
at my age.
Yeah. He's still at the place. It's about the age of 13 where, if you look at down through all of the historical societies, about the age of 13, there was this ritual of passing from childhood into adulthood and changing without the crunching, kind of bone-crushing work that a lot of people have to go through in adulthood, as you're noticing. that you can give him that. Well, his internal mechanism is still malleable, and part of the intensive is the personal code evaluation, so you get to look at exactly where the weaknesses are, and okay, so here are the assignments to deal with the weaknesses of your particular mind. And with you, if you did it at the same time as he's doing it, being able to bounce back and forth, and he'll get a good laugh at getting able to see your foibles as you go through and look at the assignments you have, and you with him, and it just I can see it opening a space that would be very powerful for a single mom with her son at the age of 12.
I agree.
Cool.
Definitely agree.
Well, maybe drop Jeannie an email about the descriptions, and she can forward those specific ones to you. And we just recently, it's just a few months ago that we completed this package. It's actually made up of 2 full online intensive. One was a 14-week, and one was a 16-week. And so we've got one more hour, kind of a bonus hour to do, because we want to round it out to a 90-hour package. Right now there's 89 hours of video from those 2 intensives, and so it covers all of the instruction, all of the questions and answers, all of the process work that many brilliant people did. He'll get to watch people doing just monumental pieces of work, and so it's a powerful process to go through.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you've done to make these tools accessible to all of us, and definitely they have changed my life. I keep coming back, so something's working. Or I'm still here, I should say. It's not that I keep coming back. I'm still here.
Well, and that's why we're doing it, to create a space of safety and support, and with a knowledge base that is available. Ultimately what we're looking to do is to make it available globally, because in the last analysis, I don't know if you remember the page in the front of my book where I talk about life with tools and life without tools, but the bottom line conclusion of that page is life without tools is hell. And most people are living in hell, and of course, being in denial, living in hell, they find somebody to blame. Oh, God did this hell. It's all God's fault. And, so to shift out of that blame game and into responsibility. And, the fact is, most family systems coming up in this culture, and in particular in this country at this point, a lot of people living in hell. And not from any, volition of their own. It's just been the thrust of the generations, the anger, the rage, the fear, the loss, the pain, the trauma, and no tools to deal with it. And so we've got a full range of tools, and our objective is to deliver them.
Yep. Well, I am grateful.
Well, we're grateful to be able to share them with you, and thank you for saying thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, any other thoughts for you today, young lady?
I think I am good for now, but I do thank you so much for always being there and being a support. And I feel an energy shift now from today, and so that's a big deal. And I'll keep it going.
Well, I hear, and feel the energy of, there was a wall there, and it feels to me like you just sort of shattered the wall and, on to the next level.
Yeah, well, I can hear it in my voice. The tone of my voice is very different, and it even is, I can feel it vibrating down deeper into my chest than it could penetrate before. So, yes, I think that's accurate, that I'm glad I smashed the wall. I would have said maybe I cracked it, but you said smashed, so I'm going to go with smashed.
Go for it. Well, you go back to Yeshua, or you go back to the ancient scriptures, and they talk about the veil of the temple must be rent in twain. And, the religionists, the churchianity crowd has convinced us that means there was a purple curtain in the church to tore into. No, the veil of the temple is this barrier, this veil between the subconscious and the unconscious. And every person, sooner or later, if they're going to heal, has to open it. The sooner one starts in the process, the easier and the faster it's going to move. So that's what it's all about.
Yep.
All right, young lady, we appreciate you. Okay. Delight to chat.
You.
Blessings.
Okay.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Well, that was
Jeannie.
an awesome way to open the second hour.
Yeah. Hey, it was fun to kick the football back and forth with Dr. Tim. We haven't done that since he stepped up and started to do his own show. So that was cool.
Yeah. So there are no other hands up, so maybe just go to the reading. We've got 23 minutes. Maybe somebody will have a question afterwards.
Yeah, well, I've got the book right here, open to page 108. So we're stepping into the ongoing reading of a couple of chapters in each show, and we're now on the chapter, The Body Has a Mind of Its Own. And we've been talking with the character Richard about his getting lost in the insanity of his culture and of his family system and waking up from that. And he's just, we've just been looking at why people drug themselves, the file folder effect, how when one file fires in the mind, every other file tied to that folder also moves. And this is what creates the underlying dynamics of feeling and emotion that and sensation in the body that oftentimes lead people to, in the last line when we finished in the last show we were reading was, is it any wonder people turn to drugs and alcohol to cope? And actually, to make sense of what Richard's about to say, the previous paragraph probably fits. So I'm going to repeat that. So we're talking about how there's a message that's given to people in our culture. Sex is dirty, save it for the one you love. And then tying that together with the file folder effect and looking at all the different ways that the insanity in our culture around sexuality is resonated through the file folder effect. And I had just offered to Richard to, think of being in the city where one's senses are bombarded by movies, television, masses of people, magazines, newspapers, billboards, advertising in stores, on taxi cabs and buses. These media continuously impale each spouse's mind in a marriage with both subliminal and overt messages of fear, guilt, sex, violence, hatred, drug and alcohol use, and abuse. If their minds contain highly charged emotional realities connected to any of these issues, and they're continuously being resonated into activity, how sane can anyone possibly be? Is it any wonder people turn to drugs and alcohol? And Richard says, this is so overwhelming, Michael. You're describing my life and the life of almost everyone I know. I'm feeling like this is so big that we could never change it, Richard said emphatically. Well, that sounds like the world is brainwashing, Richard, is my offering to him, which says, you're powerless over what's happening. You're only one person. Why don't you just give up and go along with the program? Then I asked Richard the question, or put up the invitation. I invite you to consider that the only part you need to do, Richard, is your own. You have as much power as any human being who has ever lived. Of course, as we were just saying, life without tools is hell. If people don't have the tools, there's no way out of it. So I offered him that you are capable of breaking through and making changes both within and without. The first step in convincing people change is impossible is to persuade them that pain is normal. And it is not. Due to the file folder effect, pain is accepted in a mind. It can be hooked up to any reality in that mind through the use of words and images. And any image that pain hooks into, it distorts. So the minute that pain hooks into sexuality, and of course, marriage, sex at 30, save it for the one you love. What do we have? We have these distorted perceptions of ourselves and each other and of marriage and of family. And I offer him the thought that the more powerful the medium delivering the message, the greater its potential for distorting the mind's output. Richard, just as you must look inside yourself if you want to heal, I'm suggesting we each must look at how we, as human beings, have created the insanities in our world. I know it starts to feel overwhelming as we dig into these issues, but overwhelm is just a stage in the healing process. And so, any unresolved issue that anyone experiences within themselves is going to tend to be a reflection of the unresolved issues of that individual's bloodline. And each person is going to have to pass through that valley. And if one has the tools, then that march back to true human life becomes much easier. If there's some knowledge of, so here's where I've been, here's where I'm going, I'm not there yet, and I'm in process, it becomes a safe process to do. Whereas when one's just bonkers, oblivious, locked into rage and fear and guilt and pain and totally and completely dissociated trauma, so people don't even know where it's coming from, there is resolution. But you take a look around and you talk to your neighbors and you watch the news, you watch the media, just look at what the television is presenting to you. And, there's so many shows that week after week, month after month, year after year, they're just an exhibition of trauma. We have a population that has no tools that understands healing. And healing of all of these dynamics is not only possible, but inevitable. And so to recognize there are many stages in the healing process, and overwhelm is just one of them. And it's safe to face and experience the overwhelm that is unresolved within your family system and has been inherited and locked into your tissue structure. And as you do your work, you dissolve overwhelm. And then no matter what comes to you, you can't be overwhelmed because there is no longer a mind structure in you of generational overwhelm. You're freed of it. It's like, oh, here's another issue. Oh, this is a big one. This is huge. Man, this is so big. I can't even imagine it. But I'm not overwhelmed in it because I no longer hold. I've forgiven in me the reality of overwhelm. It's just another issue. Well, gee, this one might take me a week, a month, it might take me a year, it might take me 5 years. This is a huge issue that we're looking at. Yep, okay. And I can be at peace with that, recognize, this one's big enough. It might take me 5 years to do. Okay, well then, I'm willing to do it. And I say that from a perspective and a voice of experience. Because I still work on issues in my life, in my physiology, that I've been working on for decades. Now, are they anything like what they were decades ago? No, thank God. But I recognize that there's still a process happening. I was they told my father at the point of my birth that if he wanted to see me alive, he was at work and they contacted me and said I better get to the hospital because I wasn't going to make it through the night. Next 25 years I lived on an inhalator and pills. And, we've talked a few times about the intensified work that Jeannie and I have been doing. And actually the last 3 days I've been opening new levels of healing. I mean, my lungs, I can go back to 10, 15, 20 years ago when I'd go into one of these, disease fairs where they have doctors out in the street selling diseases and under the guise of a health fair. And they check your lung capacity, and I can remember doing that and being told, "Wow, you're in pretty awesome shape. Your lungs are pretty cool." And then I'd tell them my history, and then they'd want to go back and retest because I couldn't possibly have that capacity. But I still recognize that the full healing of what almost killed me at my birth, 6 days in utero, them giving my mother Pitocin to try to kick me out of the womb, almost killed me. And just the last 3 or 4 days, I've been processing new levels of literally being able to feel as I've opened new spaces in my lungs, new awareness in my lungs, been able to feel literally when I'm breathing out the toxic fumes leaving my lungs, catching in my throat. So, if you want an instant fix, this isn't it. You can go take a drug and it'll make it feel like some sort of an instant fix because you'll be able to hide things from yourself until the next time they come up, and then, they'll find another drug and they'll hide for another level. And remember that every drug you introduce to your structure, by definition, introduces diseases to your body. It may resolve a certain set of symptoms at some given moment, but every drug installs diseases in the body of the person taking the drug. That's just the fact of it. Now, you may say, well, risk to benefit ratio. Well, I'm better off not dealing with that, even though I don't know what's coming from this. If we've got something that's truly healing, then my offering is no substance, circumstance, or activity that is actually healing is going to introduce diseases into the structure. That's just foolishness. And certainly I understand, I would say to people, there are cases, there are circumstances and situations where but just be aware of what you're doing and at least walk the healing path along with the treatment path until you get to the point where you don't need to utilize substances that introduce diseases into your structure, that you only use substances that strengthen, enhance, and vitalize your structure. And those things that are truly healing will never cause disease. Now, they may cause symptoms. They may vitalize you, as we were talking about with Jill just a little while ago. What did I mean when I said touching the hem of Tim's garment? Tim holding a space, her being vitalized by it, symptoms moved, dis-ease symptoms. But those are energetic patterns that are moving out of the structure as you observed, rather than being instilled by the process engaged in. And so as you understand the real healing path, you'll do more and more to strengthen and vitalize, which means you'll get to look at the old symptomatic energies that need to be moved out of your structure, and you'll get to move out of them, and you'll get to put an end to them. And that's what actual healing is, and that's what we're here to support and be part of. And so, Ms. Judy, does that bring out any thoughts for you, sweetie?
No, I think you said it well and said it all. We have 9 minutes if somebody has a question.
So if you're out there in this lane, I can't imagine with what we've just processed and then what the instruction has been for the last half hour, I can't imagine that there's one person out there. I can't imagine there's even one of you that doesn't have at least 3 questions based on what we just said. I don't know why you don't raise your hand, haven't raised it already. I know you've got the questions. Maybe you think your question isn't the right one or good enough. Every question opens space for everybody. There's an interesting story about Albert Einstein, and they apparently said to him, if you were given a problem to solve and you had 1 hour to do it or you would die, what would you do? He said, I'd spend 55 minutes working on understanding what question to ask, and then I'd solve the problem in 5 minutes. So I know there are questions out there. Why don't you push one and ask your question? Maybe your voice might be shaky. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you don't want to tell us your name because you want to be. Oh, great. And if you want to be anonymous, pick a name. Call in, tell us your Hortense, and let's answer your questions. Let's go for that hand from Jeannie.
Area code 417. I think this is Miss Judy.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, hey there, young lady. How are things out there in Springfield? I heard there was quite a crunch with COVID and such. How is the city doing? I haven't looked at anything in the news recently.
Well, the only thing I know about Springfield was on the news is that it's number 3 in the nation for crime as a dangerous city to live in.
Springfield, Missouri?
Right. That's the latest find. No, they started analyzing things from a different point of view. And that's what they were basing it on. Springfield's a little upset about that.
Wow. That's shocking, because I've always thought Springfield is a very peaceful, whenever I've been to Springfield, it's 150,000 people. I've always seen it as just a wonderful, sweet place to be. That shocks me.
Yeah, I thought of it as a little country town. However, people are moving. There's a lot of movement going on right now with people with different cultures, backgrounds, and problems. So whatever was stable even a year ago compared to today may be totally different. So things are changing around that much.
I know that down around Theodosia, there's been a great influx of people from the West, especially in California and Oregon and that sort of thing, moving into that area, looking for that smaller town impact. But wow. Well, we'll hold the space.
They're moving in really fast, and especially from California.
Yes, that's what I've understood.
I had a couple of questions. One was for Jeannie. I wanted to ask it like three shows ago, but things were escalating with other questions and everything, and I just kept putting it off. And that's about the hormones.
Yes.
Okay. So they put me on the combination hormone several years ago. Well, I got off of it. And they had me on progesterone. I didn't realize then, because I was feeling okay, when I got off of it, I was doing the live food and everything and trying to balance my own system out. Right. And I did good for a while. However, all this other stuff started happening, like my hair getting dry and my skin getting dry. And
a lot of that's got to do with the hormones.
Yeah. And just recently, I've come up with, my body has brought forward the lack of vitamin B in my system that it can't process it. So they're making me take they're giving me the opportunity to take shots now.
Right.
But then it escalated from there to my stomach. And then eventually it reaches my liver. The things that I've been processing through, these things are coming up now. I'm at the liver. And it's what's called a hot liver.
Well,
and Michael, Years ago, Michael told me.
Go ahead.
And then I'll be finished. Years ago, Michael told me that my body was not metabolizing the food, that I wasn't getting the nutrition. And I didn't understand exactly what that meant. So I've been praying about it and reading and watching things, you know. And then finally it dawns on me the other day, through the process of this, whatever it is that I'm going through, that it's been my liver that it's causing the food to, it's like a sluggish liver, but it's a hot liver. It heats up whenever I take nutrition in. And that's why I've had to deal with the rheumatoid arthritis. So going back to the hormones, what do you think?
Were you on the show when I was talking to Susan that I had gone, like my cholesterol was high, my sugar was high, my hormones were low. I mean, it was like all these things were out of balance. And my physician, who is a naturopath, or not a naturopath, but he's more natural. He's a medical doctor, but they did blood work, and he said, if we get your hormones in balance, your metabolism will kick in, and it will take care of the cholesterol and the sugar and all of that. I mean, it was like the hormones was the baseline of everything else that was crazy right then. But you want to do the bioidentical hormones that you like rub on your skin, that your body soaks in that way. Your liver doesn't have to process it the way it does if you take pills orally. And
well, that's what they gave me, was the oral one. So I need the cream instead.
Right, and find a compounding pharmacy. Your doctor can look at your blood levels, and he can say, okay, she needs this much if you're at a level, or if they need to adjust something in one direction or the other until they get it at a good balance. And I was taking all three of those as a cream until I wasn't sleeping well. And then they pulled the progesterone out of it, and I'm taking that one by mouth and take it at night because then it helps me sleep. But the other two hormones I'm still doing as the cream, and do what's called bioidentical, because that way it's not as synthetic.
Yeah. Well, definitely I haven't been sleeping. I mean, for the last, I can't even, at least the last 6 months since I moved into this particular apartment.
Got to get your sleep back on track. I just took a look online, and there's a compounding pharmacy called Lawrence Drug and Compounding Pharmacy in Springfield.
Yeah.
I
use that one.
Contact them.
Okay.
Well, I'd suggest you talk to them and ask them to guide you to a physician who will help you with your bioidenticals. They'd be the best people. You know, if you don't have somebody right now, somebody who doesn't, I mean, it's a specialty. So if you talk to them, they'll know who the best people are in town in terms of medical referral to help you to get that back in balance. And that's just going to change everything.
That's a great idea.
Cool. Well, we're down to the last minute. So, Judy, if it's appropriate and you need more information, we can continue this conversation tomorrow. And in the meantime, everybody, we appreciate you. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift. Blessings. Bye-bye.